don't look now, Chris.
Yeah.
But the 2-day NBA draft will start Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the city of Secaucus, and you can see it on ESPN.
Whoa. We're splitting this 1 round, 2 rounds into 2 days?
I believe so. 1 day isn't good enough. And the Hawks, as of right now, have selections 13 and 22. And I guess an NBA scout told the AJC that the draft, after like 6 or 7, it's all over the place. Nobody has any idea what's going to happen.
Oh, man.
Isn't that every year? I mean, you could say that every year about the NBA draft.
Well, again, here's the difference. All it takes is a guy who's drafted a little bit lower, not in the top 10, to be a really good player, to become an NBA champion. OKC's got one of those, and you go, oh, look what could happen to you. And, yeah, it could happen to you. Odds are it won't happen to you because the guy won't be in the right environment. The system won't fit him. He'll think he's better than he is. Having to sit and watch as a second-round pick. I've never watched a basketball game in my life. Nobody's really up for learning. Let me give you another piece of news. NBA practices are not conducive to guys becoming better basketball.
Well, you don't have time to practice.
They're called walkthroughs. You will work harder in a college preseason camp than you will in an NBA preseason camp, and certainly once the season starts. Being in college is more about learning. We look at film, we break down film. Coach tells me what to do and not do. That's fine. You know what can happen sometimes? You're on the bench. You can't find minutes. You don't get minutes until you get minutes. Then you find out maybe you're supposed to get more minutes, because I don't know if you know this, Nick. Plus minus. I got a good plus minus. I get to play a little bit more. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe it's not. But if you're a second-round pick and you're fighting for minutes on a team that they believe they've got guys better than you, you're not going to learn how to play much better basketball.
New Hawks GM Onsi Saleh met with the media yesterday. First, he talked about Trae Young and what Trae Young will do down the road for the Hawks.
We're locked in with Trae. We talked last year, next season, we're just locked into next season, ready to move forward and be the best team that we could possibly be moving forward. And I think a lot of his leadership from last season went probably unnoticed to the common eye. Like, the way that he helped develop our young guys and make them better was significant. So, I mean, just continuing on with that and hopefully just making our team better.
It's Onsi Saleh, the quiet storm. Very laid back, it seems, but they're talking about Trae Young, who's under contract for at least 1 more year, and then Trae Young has a player option for 26, 27. So let's just say he's under contract for 1 more year. I don't think he's going to opt in. I don't think.
No, well, then the big thing will be, does he take less money to go play someplace else when the Hawks can pay him the most amount of money? Remember, I don't know, is he still being burned by the not being on the NBA all 1, all 2, all 3 teams? Remember that the money goes up for these guys, that if you get named to an all-NBA team.
Whatever your max deal is, it's more of a max deal.
No doubt. Is he working at, like, what's his max? It's got to be out there. Somebody must have written about what Trae Young's max is and what would he take as a haircut if he decides, no, I want to go be a free agent who's a free agent. Then somebody else can only sign him for X amount of dollars. Remember, the big thing with free agency was if we afford teams to pay a guy so much, he'll never leave, guys won't be jumping ship. Guys won't be looking for the next gig unless they're willing to take $60 million less, $70 million less. And I think the league thought, oh, no, nobody will ever jump. Now, I ask you, if I can make $240 someplace and $290 here, but I don't like where I am for $290, you might go take the $240, especially if you're going to hit free agency 1 more time.
Because I think you can survive. I mean, it's not my money. I'll never know it. But I think you can survive on the $240 and be happy elsewhere, should he decide to do that. But he's got 1 more year because, again, I don't think he's going to opt in. Here's more from Onsi Saleh when it comes to the draft philosophy that he has.
When it comes to the draft, I always pick the best player available. Like, that's my philosophy. I don't believe in picking for a position. If there's a guy that makes sense for us, we're going to take him. And always the best player. That's the philosophy there.
And where you're picking right now, who knows what's going to be happening? 13 and 22. Nobody knows.
Yeah, but I'll be on the first day. You know what I can do? I don't have to be around for the second day. That's cool. 2 days of the NBA draft. Ooh, this is going to be riveting.
Now, he also said he has the authority to go into the luxury tax.
That's a statement. Nobody knows if that's true or not.
Well, a lot of people are going to tell you that's not true. That is not something Tony Ressler wants to do. But breaking rumors. Onsi Saleh is saying that, yeah, he's got the green light if the situation is right to spend more money.
Ask me how he and Park got this job.
How did he get this job, Chris?
When you're in the interview process, you're going to say, and listen, here's what we're going to say when somebody asks us about the luxury tax. Yes, we are willing to go into the luxury tax. Do you understand? I can't say that. I don't want, thank you, which means you don't have the job. We're asking you to now leave. You have to understand that the answer to that question is, yes, of course our ownership group, Tony Ressler, is willing to go into the tax. He's just looking to buy himself a winner around here because what he'd like to give to you people is a championship. Understand? Repeat after me. You're hired.
All of a sudden, he's been hypnotized.
Well,
he
it's
walks
just, do you
into
want the job
interview
or
and
not?
Nicky Ressler's got a watch that he's waving in front of him.
Do you want the job or not? Now, I can't hire you and have you go to the press conference and go, yeah, I've been told, man, we are not going to luxury tax. I don't care who it's for. No more questions. And then you ask him to leave. Then I have to fire you. So if you'd like to be hired, I'd like you to stick to the script. Of course, we are willing and ready and able to go into the luxury tax.
Now, everybody falls victim to the cliche game, including Onsi Saleh when he's talking about what kind of a player he's looking for.
In San Antonio, we always had the three things we cared about most were character, selfless, pound the rock. Here, it's competitiveness, toughness, resilience, and adaptability. Those are the things I look for with players.
Okay. In San Antonio, give me so he's not going to go with the San Antonio model, the one that won 5 championships. Now, they hit hard times, no doubt about it, because after you have 5 championships, you're probably going to hit hard times. He's going to dump out of the San Antonio thing because here in Atlanta, we do things differently.
It's his philosophy with a twist, that's all.
Can I hear, listen, I'm not asking you. Can I hear just 2 cuts? I want to hear what the San Antonio philosophy was. And listen, this is what it was over there. And we all found out that turned into a dud. They stink now. Maybe he's supposed to follow up that. Then I would like to hear if we can make a second cut, what he's doing here in Atlanta. Whether we do it now or later, just let me know.
But we can put it all together in this cut. It starts with the San Antonio philosophy and then crosses over to the Hawks
I like it as 2 separate cuts, but okay,
we
sure.
can do
Go ahead.
that later.
Go ahead.
When it comes to the draft, I always pick the best player available.
Not that
That's
one.
my philosophy.
I want the philosophy about
The competitiveness.
in San Antonio we did this.
The cut we just played.
In San Antonio, we always had the three things we cared about most were character, selfless, pound the rock. Here, it's competitiveness, toughness, resilience, and adaptability. Those are the things I look for with players.
So it sounds to me like we dumped out of pound the rock, and we're going to go with a little bit more competitiveness.
Yes.
Okay. How do you know if a guy's competitive? Is his college film, the 1 year he's in college?
don't know.
Yeah, you don't. That's the point.
You're on a need-to-know basis.
We'll have players here, and we'll see if we can put together, a group of guys with a head coach and 9 assistants, and we'll see if we can win.
Finally, here's Onsi Saleh, the new Hawks GM, on his change of mind, perhaps, based on what he saw in the championship NBA Finals.
One thing we saw from these 2 teams, Oklahoma and Indiana, they were developmentally focused. The rules have changed when it comes to roster construction.
Yeah.
If you look at those 2 teams, they really developed. They built a culture. The chemistry and cohesion between those groups, I think, stood out when you watch them play. They both play the right way. So try to bring that mentality and that direction to our program.
All right. So
Everybody's trying to do that.
He's going to go back to, no doubt about it, but he's going to go back to what I said the other day. Every owner should get his GM on a Zoom or call him into the office and say, how come that wasn't us? How come that wasn't us? Well, we didn't. No. How come that wasn't us? We've had an opportunity for the last, Tony Ressler's owned the Hawks for how many years? How many guys has he had running the ship like Onsi Saleh? So you could all say, look, I'm new here, man. And then the 9 guys they hired like in the last 2 weeks to do this and to do that, they can all get, I'm new here. How about we actually figure out how we're young, how guys like each other, what it is they're learning. I know this is all cliche because they're the 2 teams in the finals, but there is something to not being there after you're trying to build something for years, and the best you are is a play-in
And
team.
it doesn't make any sense because, as I've told you for the last 2 years, when I look at this team on paper, they should be better. They should be better than a play-in team. They should be on the same level as some teams that went deep into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're a championship team, but they should be able to go on another playoff run. I think they're talented enough to do that, but why isn't it happening?
You know what I would like? And again, maybe this is the draft and probably not, though. So again, hear how I said that. Maybe it's the draft, but probably not. I'd like somebody with a little dog in them around here. I don't want Draymond Green. I punch teammates. That's not what I'm talking about. Maybe it'd be nice to get a guy, instead of saying best player available, What if you actually got a guy? What if you traded for a guy? What if you got a guy in here who says, the rim is mine? Like we talk about with pitchers. This is my office. Don't come in here. The rim is mine. I will knock you on your ass, and I promise you, I will look at my own teammates, and I will say, you think that's defense? Now, I don't know how many guys there are like that, but when was the last time you thought we had a guy around here who had that in him?
I'm not even sure. It's been that.
It's been a long time.
Who it could be.
All right. I'm just wondering. Because maybe one of the things you should look at with both of these teams is, certainly with Oklahoma City, you know what they decided to do every night? Get the defense off the bus. Hey, fellas, I don't know what we're going to score, but we're going to bring defense off the bus. Indiana was not necessarily built like that. They were kind of the other way. It's why styles make fights and why it was a good NBA Finals except for the final scores. Somebody said it was Gilbert Arenas was asked, what are you going to remember? Did you see this?
He said absolutely nothing is what we're going to remember.
We're going to remember Tyrese Halliburton's injury, which, again, he's saying you're going to remember nothing about the basketball. And maybe that's okay. Like, somebody got to the finals, see Indiana, and somebody won it, and you're going to go, whoa, what did they do? I got a clip from a guy who says Gilgeous Alexander is the worst MVP he's ever seen, which is hilarious at this point, but we'll play that later. What if it's okay to be a little bit nondescript? You know what you didn't see? Man, I didn't see Magic Johnson in this finals. Man, okay, you did.
Well, what I do know
I
is
saw a champion.